Majority hirna Dail Nifa Corfurin con Shenisturu and Gnivra agus Nyata Grasta of Ranoin Cani the Hodge Concrete and Scorwetsa a Hosna for Arella Breher agus Arella Ni Fasta as Gar Triat a Cretan of our aid to Christ our Jirna. Amen. Directly we seek thee, O Lord, our actions by the holy inspirations and carry them on by thy gracious assistance, that every work and word of ours may always begin from thee and by thee be happily ended through Christ our Lord. Amen. So the first item is leaders' questions, and I call on Deputy Charlie McConalogue on behalf of Fianna Fáil. You have 3 minutes.
Taoiseach, you would agree that it is crucial that the public have confidence in the Garda Síochána, as they are the main protectors of the state. Proper policing is crucial to any democracy and to the safety of our communities. The majority of the force just want to do the job, and that's what they took an oath to do. And indeed, many have lost their lives in carrying out their duties. Unfortunately, there has been a series of critical reports about management in the Gardaí in the recent past. While there has been a lot of spin about how the force is being reformed, there is very little actual evidence of whether these reforms have made any difference. This reform seems to hit stumbling block after stumbling block. The Garda Representative Association and the Association of Garda Sergeants and Inspectors have threatened to withdraw their services for 4 days in the month of November, as they believe their pay has been far too low and their grievances have been left for far too long. This has caused total demoralisation of the Gardaí. To add to these woes, the recent reports of how whistleblowers were allegedly treated has added yet another potential scandal. You received information under the protection of disclosure legislation, and you have said that you are taking it very seriously. However, in the meantime, confidence in the Gardaí is being allowed to drift and drift. There are allegations and counter-allegations, and the Garda Commissioner is saying she was not privy to nor approved of any actions designed to target any Garda who may have made a protected disclosure and will condemn any action. The Taoiseach told the House yesterday that a member of the judiciary may be appointed to investigate the allegations. Yet today we read in papers that the Gardaí who made the allegations may not take part in any investigation unless the Commissioner temporarily steps aside. There is another report today as well that a senior Garda is going to demand an inquiry into the force over the dysfunctionality of the Garda Síochána because of perceived system and management failures. Taoiseach, it is hard to see beyond the saying there is something rotten in the state of Denmark. Do you understand the genuine concerns about the state of the Gardaí, and that they go way beyond political soundbite and headline grabbing? Have you been informed by the two complainants that they will not take part in any inquiry into the allegations unless the Garda Commissioner steps aside even temporarily? If this becomes a demand, will it be considered? And finally, have you been informed about the request to inquire into Garda administration because of dysfunctionality? And will you be agreeing to this request?
And Taoiseach, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Las Concorda. It may be helpful to the House if I attempt to put the events of recent days in context. Deputy, I do agree with what you say about the importance of the role of Garda Síochána. They confront many challenges, as we've discussed in this House on many occasions, and it is extremely important that nothing undermines their ability to keep our communities safe. And it is right to acknowledge, indeed, some of the successes they have had, which have been evidenced by recent events and recent crime figures. They've had successes in doing that, and they are the first line between the public and criminal elements. But for all of their strengths, I certainly, in this government, in the last government, have recognised that fundamental reforms were necessary. You've outlined some of the challenges, indeed. And again, to put in context some of the reforms that have recently taken place. An open and independent process for the selection of the new Garda Commissioner, strengthening the role of GSOC, an independent review mechanism, the Freedom of Information Act extended to Garda Síochána. We've had various inquiries, and the former president of the Circuit Court of the Court in as an independent oversight authority. Now, we also have had the Protected Disclosure Act of 2014. Much of the public comment this week has been based on the fact that two members of Garda Síochána have recently made disclosures, which in fact I received last Monday. A fundamental, and this House passed this legislation, a fundamental protection of the Act is that I must protect the identity of those making the disclosures. This has led to the situation that various claims have been made publicly about what those disclosures contain, and I simply cannot comment on their accuracy or otherwise. That's the reality. That's the law. The limits with what I can say in this House, it limits what I can say in this House, but I intend to scrupulously follow my legal obligations in this regard. And I would say it is vitally important that the claims of people making such disclosures are properly addressed. But we do have to do it in a way that is fair, that is proper, and that is just, and is within the rule of law. It would be a very cruel irony if a system that was introduced to deal with wrongdoing led us in turn to do wrong to people. Everyone is entitled to their good names unless it can be fairly and objectively shown that they have been involved in wrongdoing. And that is why what is important, and I would say to this House, what is important is that a procedure is put in place so that such claims can be properly assessed and the people, the subject to such claims, have a chance to respond to them. I have been, as you rightly say, consulting with the Attorney-General as to how to best achieve this, and there will be no delay. I have clear obligations under the Act if I am the recipient of a protected disclosure, and there will be no delay in putting in place a process to achieve it.
Thank you, Tainiaste.
Let me just conclude, Cathaoirleach, by saying I do not believe that it is right for anyone to rush to judgment about these matters. It offends all the principles of fairness for conclusions to be drawn on the basis of claims against people which have not been properly tested, or where people who have had claims made against them have not had a chance to tell their side of the story.
Thank you, Tainiaste. Deputy McConnell, you've got 1 minute.
Tainiaste, I would agree with you that it's important that process is properly followed and people are given the opportunity to account for themselves and to respond. However, it is important that we do see action and that these matters are dealt with you as promptly as is possible. And it would certainly seem to be the case, Minister and Tainiaste, that over the last number of years there has been a gradual and very real erosion in terms of the morale of Gardaí and indeed in terms of confidence both within the force and with the public. And indeed, there seems to be a general dissatisfaction and disgruntlement in terms of how the force is being managed. Now, I asked you previously, Minister, if, as in the reports today, that the two complainants who are making very serious allegations, if they have indeed informed you that they would not be willing to participate in an investigation if the Garda Commissioner remains in place. Is that the case? Have they informed you of that? And if so, Minister, what is your response? And also, Minister, I asked you in relation to further reports today that a very senior officer in the Gardaí is going to seek an inquiry in relation to Garda management and administration.
Thank you, Deputy.
Have you been informed of that? Are you aware of that? And if so, Minister, what action have you taken?
Thank you, Deputy. 1 minute.
I've seen the reports in the media about the points that you have made, Deputy, but what I put on the record of the House are the facts that I have received. The protected disclosure notices which I received on Monday. The Government hasn't yet made a decision in relation to the precise process we will follow. It's been considered as I speak. It's been considered urgently, and it will be done in a timely way. And no, there hasn't been contact.
Thank you, Tainiaste. I now move to Sinn Féin, Deputy MacDonald.
Tainiaste, on Garda Síochána is once again at the centre of more allegations of wrongdoing. And let's acknowledge they are allegations. and there is undoubtedly a crisis of confidence again in a Garda Commissioner. In fact, it's almost like Groundhog Day. Yesterday, the Taoiseach said that you would appoint a judge or another appropriate person to assess the protected disclosures you received relating to serious allegations of an orchestrated campaign to undermine and smear Garda whistleblowers. Is that still the case, Tainiaste? This morning, as has been said, it has been reported in several outlets that the two whistleblowers whose cases were first raised by the Irish Examiner will not cooperate with any inquiry whilst the Garda Commissioner remains in place. So how, Tainiaste, in the face of such a development, are you proposing to move this process forward? Will the Commissioner stand aside? We all agree that these are very, very serious allegations and issues and that we need clarity. And this is just part of a trend by some in An Garda Síochána who, it is alleged, have been given carte blanche by Commissioner Noreen O'Sullivan to hound and discredit whistleblowers. And Tainiaste, let's remember this is all on your watch, because you are her boss, she reports to you. So have you spoken to the Commissioner on these matters? Have you a report from her? Clearly, Tainiaste, you have questions to answer in relation to these revelations as well. Can I ask you, Tainiaste, do you have on your desk other complaints from Garda whistleblowers alleging harassment and intimidation? Yesterday, Deputy Dail here in the Dail said that a Garda whistleblower wrote directly to you on 4 occasions outlining the treatment he was experiencing. Is that true, Tainiaste, and what did you do about it? Yesterday, the Taoiseach stated his absolute confidence in the Garda Commissioner. So can I put it to you today, Tainiaste, do you have absolute confidence in the Garda Commissioner? Because the whistleblowers clearly do not. So let me repeat my questions to which I want answers. When will the judge be appointed? Will the Commissioner stand aside? Do you have other whistleblower allegations on your desk? And do you have absolute confidence in the Garda Commissioner?
Deputy MacDonald, you appear to think that the protections of the law, of the presumption of innocence and the requirement for due process can be applied selectively. If you decide that something is the case, we can dispense with the principle of justice and indeed the laws of the land. I certainly won't do that as Minister for Justice. And I would ask you, and other deputies making similar calls, to reflect on what your attitude would be were the government to take the same approach to justice generally, as they are advocating we take here. Is an accusation now sufficient to secure a conviction? Is that what you're suggesting? I really have to question deputies who are putting information in this House, knowing full well that I cannot respond in detail and that I am forbidden by the law from responding in detail to what is being reported in the newspaper, that there are very clear laws in relation to protected disclosures, very clear laws, and they are there, and everybody in this House passed that legislation, they are there to protect both the whistleblower, that their anonymity is preserved, and the person against whom the allegations are being made. I cannot comment on the detail of the protected disclosures that have been made to me, but they are of the utmost seriousness. And as I said in committee yesterday, that I certainly want to see the kind of cultural change that people have been speaking about, that Deputy McConnell spoke about, that is necessary on Garda Síochána. I have initiated the biggest reforms in the history of An Garda Síochána with the establishment of the policing authority and the increasing powers to GSOC. And I can't comment on the details, but as I say, they are of the utmost seriousness. That is how they should be treated. That is how I am treating them. But do not ask me, as Minister charged with defending the principles of justice that are fundamental to our society, to set aside those principles. In this case, or in any other case, there is a clear procedure outlined as to how allegations, protected disclosures should be dealt with. In relation to the Garda Commissioner in your question, I want to be very clear about one thing. No findings of wrongdoing of any kind have been made against the Garda Commissioner, and I believe in those circumstances she is entitled to our full confidence.
Thank you, Tainiaste.
Well, the law is designed to do many things and to protect the whistleblower and indeed others, as you've outlined. What it is not designed to provide is a get-out clause for you to answer perfectly reasonable and perfectly legal questions to put to you. I asked you, do you have other allegations on your desk? A simple yes or no will do it. I asked you, is it true that a whistleblower wrote to you 4 times setting out their own experiences? Is that true? What did you do? None of that is precluded by the whistleblower legislation. I've put it to you, and it's a matter that is widely reported, that the 2 whistleblowers in the latest series of allegations have stated clearly that they will not cooperate with any process unless the Commissioner stands aside. You state your confidence in the Commissioner. The whistleblowers clearly don't have any confidence in the Commissioner. So I ask you again, how do you propose to move the process forward? When will the judge be appointed? Will the Commissioner stand aside? Have you entertained that idea? And crucially, what's on your desk? And how did you respond to the individual who wrote to you 4 times as Minister for Justice?
Well, let me be very clear. No, I don't have any other protected disclosures. Clearly, it's in the public realm, the small number of protected disclosures that have been made, both to GSOC and to myself. It's published in the annual report of GSOC, for example. So those figures are publicly available. There's nothing that's there that...
I allow the Tainiaste to continue, please. Give him the well, there's not a point of order on leaders. Excuse me. There's not a point of order. If you check Standing Order 71, you cannot raise a point of order on leaders.
Inadvertently mislead the House, Count Garda. And the Tainiaste will be aware that there was a report on last Tuesday evening on primetime television which absolutely reported that a whistleblower landed on your desk.
You've explained your position, Tainiaste. Tainiaste without interruption. And Tainiaste, you have 30 seconds left.
Yes. I've said that there aren't any other protected disclosures on my desk. It was what I was asked. I am replying to the question. In relation to media reports which you're quoting, I am setting in place a procedure. I got these reports on Monday. I have to consider the legal options, the various pathways with which I can investigate this issue. That's precisely what I'm done. It will be done in a very timely way and as soon as possible. In relation to your question about correspondence from whistleblowers, let me say that what I cannot do is discuss the details of individual contact with whistleblowers or correspondence that I receive from them. But let me be absolutely clear that I am fully pursuing any such disclosures, following up any issues that are brought to my attention, have followed up any issues that are brought to my attention. Why wouldn't I follow them up? I want to see the highest standards in Garda Síochána. I want to see the organisation dealing professionally and effectively with any whistleblowers' concerns that are brought to them. That's my goal, and it's the goal of this government, to make sure that the highest standards prevail. Why wouldn't I be following them up? I have been following them up and pursuing them. And let me just conclude by saying there are very complex investigations, detailed and complex and serious investigations being undertaken in relation to the particular cases that have been
exceeded your time,
raised
Deputy Wallace, on behalf of Independence for Change. 3 minutes, and 3 minutes is 3 minutes.
Thank you, Lascan Corla. To answer Deputy MacDonald's question, these are the 4 letters. Sorry? No, Minister. Yes, Nicky Kehoe did write to you 4 times. They weren't. You replied once when he told you about the harassment that he couldn't have been suffering without the Commissioner's knowledge. And you wrote back to him to say that you were looking for an urgent report from the Garda Commissioner. That was May this year, right? May, you say that you follow up things quickly now. May is a long time. It's over 2 years, Minister, that myself and Deputy Dail have been telling you about huge problems that are not being addressed. Over 2 years. How in God's name can you say that you're dealing with these matters? Right? You're talking about a rush to judgment. 2 years. You're saying that claims not properly tested. Minister, you have the transcript from the O'Higgins report hearings in your office. Is there not enough information in that? Was that not properly tested? The role that she played in trying to undermine the credibility of Maurice McCabe? Is there not enough in that for you? You're talking about people disposing of the laws of the land. God bless us, Minister. What arrived on your desk last Monday. Oh God, look at. If any of it is true, how bad is it? I'm not easily shocked. I've spent my life living in the real world, and I know how bad things can be out there. I haven't seen the like of it. It's horrific. It's mind-numbing. Myself and Claire Daly have met the two senior Gardaí who have made the protected disclosures. And we haven't breached the protected disclosures. But Minister, sitting down listening to it, face to face, oh my God, I'm not going to talk about it anymore, right? Listen, Minister, you're talking about another inquiry, another judge. You talk about the new broom you brought in. Nothing has changed, Minister. Nothing. And we marked your cards for you on your legislation on GSOC and on the policing authority. We had Mary Ellen Ring and Josephine Feely in stressing the lack of authority that they have through legislation to do their jobs properly. The Gardaí, Minister, are in turmoil. There's a split in it. There's two camps. She has promoted a ring around her. It's corrosive. She is doing so much damage to An Garda Síochána. There are so many good Gardaí, Minister, that are shocked at how she is operating. You cannot leave her in position. And Minister, the idea that there would be an investigation while she was in place is nuts.
Tainiaste, 3 minutes.
Well, Deputy, you've made a number of comments there. I will repeat what I said, that I believe, you may not, but I believe that due process is important. I believe that the law should be used carefully in these circumstances. I don't believe in making a decision before the evidence has been heard. What we have is a body of allegations that have been brought forward, and I have said to the House I believe they are serious and that they ought to be investigated. And I will ensure that that happens. And I will ensure that there is follow-up depending on the outcome and the output from that investigation. Of course I will. That would be my job, and that's what I will do. Quite a number of things have changed. For the first time, we have independent oversight. We have the police authority, where the public, with the public meetings, can see An Garda Síochána being accountable to a new policing authority being chaired by Josephine Feely and a very, very competent and serious board who are totally committed to their task. That's different. That's changed. GSOC have been given new powers. And I'm perfectly prepared to meet both chairs to discuss if further changes are necessary to the legislation. You've made a number of points about investigations going on over a period of time. And yes, investigations do take time. There are procedures to be followed. And let me make the point in relation to the disclosures that were made some time ago and what's been happening. And without commenting in any way on the disclosures, who has made disclosures, or the disclosures themselves, I can tell the House that I am extremely concerned about matters which have been raised in relation to policing in Athlone. And by the way, Deputy, I wrote to you and I haven't received a reply. I have sought and received a number of reports from the Garda authorities about this matter. These indicate that a series of investigations have been taking place into the complex issues involved, including criminal investigations, disciplinary investigations and investigations by the Garda Síochána Ombudsman. Not all of these are yet completed. I am monitoring the situation closely and I expect further reports from Garda Síochána about these matters. And I do want to make it very clear, as I have already said, that should the present investigations not succeed in fully addressing matters of public concerns which have arisen, and I am talking about the investigations that have been underway, I am not talking about the more recent protected disclosures which only arrived on Monday and which I am currently considering, I will have no hesitation in establishing some other form of inquiry. But I will wait for due process to take its place and to continue, and I won't act precipitously, either in relation to that investigation or indeed the recent protected disclosures. But I will follow the letter of the law and I will follow the legislation that was passed in this House, where people have a right to confidentiality and people have a right to due process. And I wouldn't be doing my job as Minister for Justice if I didn't follow due process and the law that has been laid down, which we have all agreed should be followed in relation to protected disclosures. And we are the first government. These things, as has been said already, have been spoken about for many years. We're the first government who have actually brought in a law to deal with the issue of protected disclosures.
You will have another minute. Deputy Walsh, 1 minute.
Well, it isn't me working then. Minister, you're talking about returning letters. I wrote to you a year ago and I gave you evidence of the massaging of crime figures in the same place. I asked you about it at the report yesterday. A year ago? Why is your my God. And why is the fellow on the promotion list? Number 14. Why? You tell me. Huh? And there's another guy that was reported by the whistleblower down there and he got promotion. But you know what? The people who stood by that man in that station, they didn't get promotion. The Commissioner said in a statement yesterday that she wishes to reiterate that any employees in Garda Síochána who bring forward any concerns or issues they might have will be taken seriously and the matters examined. Well, my God, people can't believe what this woman is saying. Minister, it's what she says in public and what she does privately is 100% different. You can say that you don't have enough evidence, Minister, and you want due process, right? Was the O'Higgins report not enough for you in the first place? So let's even forget about what you put on your desk last week. Was that not enough for you? Those on the street can see that there was a deliberate effort on her part to undermine the credibility of Maurice McCabe. How in God's name can you leave her in position after that? I tell you what, Minister,
by the regulations.
Minister, as long as you leave her in position, there will be allegations coming in against that Commissioner. And you know what? It's only going to get worse, Minister.
Thank you, Deputy. Tainiaste, you've got 1 minute.
Yes, I did receive a letter from you, to which I replied. I have the letter here. And I went back to you and I asked you to give me some detail that was important in relation to protected disclosures if I was to follow up the points that you made. You didn't respond to me. Well, it was sent to you here in Dail. Okay, yeah, I didn't get a reply from you on the information that I asked from you. I'll send it to you again. But in relation to the point that you made about the classification of crime, that clearly is a concern. And I have been working, as I explained to the committee, the Justice Committee yesterday, I have been working, the CSO have been examining these issues. I have met with the CSO. I brought them in, as I invited them to come in and meet me. They're an independent body. 2 years ago, when the Inspectorate brought out and commented on the Garda statistics. There's a process in place. There's improvements in the reports this year, as the CSO has said, in relation to the crime figures and the accuracy of them. There's work to be done. Every international police force has an issue with crime reporting, and there are concerns in relation to it. The situation is improving and the CSO are overseeing it.
Thank you, Tainiaste. We move on to a question from the Social Democrats Green Party Group and Deputy Murphy.
Thank you. Taoiseach, yesterday the Simon community published a report showing that 20% of the very limited supply of houses available in the rental market could be afforded by those on rent supplement. The cohort of people, or this cohort of people, have absolutely no other way of securing a home given the huge housing waiting lists, and therefore the reality is that they